All right, welcome everybody, right, to this edition of the Master Blenders interview series. So, Ray is someone that I've been looking forward to interview for a long time. I think we have known each other for maybe 2 to 3 years, right,
Yeah.
for quite a while. So not only is she a speaker, right, she's a speaking coach, right, she's also a talk show host, right, and creator of what you call the Own Your Voice movement, right. I'm so excited for her to share. So yeah, Ray, great to be here, right. Welcome here, and yeah, maybe let's start a little bit about a quick introduction to what you do, right? And who do you help, right? And then we'll get this interview started.
Sure. Thanks so much for the awesome introduction, Mark. I'm very flattered. So what I do is professionally, I've been a MC for like 10 years. And currently what I do is I work with rising leaders to help them own their voice. And what that means is to really build undeniable confidence, a trust with their voice, define their unique voice, help them stand out in their industry, whether it's an entrepreneur wanting to draw in aligned clients or a rising leader in the corporate world who wants to speak up more and grow their personal brand in the workplace. So that's what I do currently, a short introduction.
Nice, a very good one, right? So I guess the first question, Ray, right, which is did you start off your journey, right, wanting to be an entrepreneur already in the first place, right? Or is it something that you kind of gradually realize over time? Maybe I'll share a bit of journey of how you even started, right, in the emceeing and then the coaching and then the speaking
Mm.
space, right? Just for people to get to know context about how did Ray get to this level where at such a very young age, right, she was able to not only travel around the world doing what she loves, right, making money, right, being the part of a passion, right? So let's share a bit of how did your journey begin in the first place.
Yeah, I never knew that it was possible for me to be an entrepreneur and run my own business, right? I didn't think that was possible. In fact, when I was younger, growing up, I didn't feel like I even deserved to speak up. I didn't really have a voice.
Mm.
I used to feel really ugly. I didn't want to look in the mirror. I don't know if I told you this before. I would avoid mirrors when I enter the toilet because I couldn't stand
Mm.
how I looked. And I was
Mm.
falling behind like academically. I was told that I had to be older and more experienced, and then I could speak up. I guess as I looked at the people around me that were using their voice, they were the people that were the prettiest or the smartest. And because I didn't feel like I was pretty or smart, then I thought that I didn't have a voice.
Mm.
So because in school I didn't have that place to use my voice, I was trying to find other ways to
Come
just
out,
prove
yeah.
to myself that like,
Mm.
okay, I can be of value, right? Like I have a place in this world. So I found more ways to be confident. I started emceeing events when I was
Mm.
volunteering in a community center.
Mm. Mm.
And they were looking for someone to MC the family carnivals, the free
Uh,
grassroots events, lah, those kind of thing.
mm.
So I thought, it would be good for my portfolio. Why not? So I just
Mm.
signed up. So that's how I
Mm.
started emceeing at 15 years old. I was desperately
Oh,
searching for a way to use my voice.
yeah.
And I think what started as a way to gain me validation quickly became a passion of mine. I loved being on stage. I love being
Mm.
able to bounce off the energy from the audience. So I started doing free events like the bursary reward ceremonies, family carnivals. But then over time, I did bigger and bigger events like
Yeah.
conferences. I recently emceed for the UN, right? So like really
Yeah.
huge events that I thoroughly enjoyed. But I
Mm.
didn't know how to turn it into a career. So right now I'm
Mm.
a coach. I still do some emceeing, but it's not like my main career. But back then when emceeing was my freelance job as I was studying university, I didn't know how I could make it a career, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
as we both know, like the media industry in Singapore is pretty small,
Yeah.
right? And there's only like a couple of or like one major media company in Singapore, and I felt like it was very hard to make it in the media
Mm.
industry, and I also didn't want to trade my time for money all the time, like be an
Yeah.
MC for life. It's going to be very tiring. So because of that, I entered university, and I think I was pretty like resigned to my fate. I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna enjoy life in uni. And then when I graduate, I'll go and get a job, even if I hate
Job, yeah.
it, because that's life, no choice. So I
Mm.
think I entered uni already with like no
That,
hope. Yeah,
yeah.
that kind of mindset. Like I'm just gonna enjoy uni while it lasts, and I'm just gonna hate my adult life, and there's no
Mm.
choice. Because in my mind, I just thought I'm gonna get a job in future, and jobs are not meant to be liked. It's just there to earn you the money, right? And because I was having that mindset, I was partying so much because yeah, I was partying so much in university because I felt like since I wasn't living when I was awake, I really craved to be alive when I was half asleep, aka in the
Yeah. Wow.
you know. And then in my second year of university, I joined a business networking group. And that's when I met my first mentor and my coach, which changed my life forever. For the first time, I met people who had dreams of their own instead of dreams they were told
Makes
they
sense.
needed to have. Yeah. I realized there was other ways I could make money. I could like do tuition. There were people who are freelance fitness trainers, drop shipping. There's so many ways to make money on the internet that I never knew existed. I started reading, listening to podcasts, diving into personal development. And it was then that I realized I can design my own version of success. So as you
Mm.
can see in my story, speaking on stage and coaching, these are two things that really changed my life. And it's a huge
Mm.
part of my identity. So that's why those two aspects are very present in my career right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think thanks for the story. I think it's great to like find out like about how you got from just speaking through emceeing, right? And again, right, guys, if you want to find out more about Ray's story, right, we can't go delve too much, right, because of time. But one thing that really stood out to me, right, Ray, is I think ever since you spoke, right, is that level of confidence, right, and the poise, right, they can present yourself with, right. So could you say that it was something like very natural, right? Something that just came up for you, or right, was it something that you'd overcome maybe a bit of fears, a bit of struggles, right, for you to get to where you are today? Not just in terms of you get to train and coach people, but I think that level of connection, right, the resonance, right, energy they have with people, right, I think it's something amazing. So did it come up naturally, or is it something that you developed over time?
I mean, you know the answer to this, right? 100% developed over time.
Mm.
I don't think anyone is like a natural speaker, or if they are natural, maybe the environment they were brought up in or their family, they encourage them to speak up a lot, hence they were
Mm.
seen as natural. I think the
Mm.
environment shapes us a lot. For me, I feel like my environment didn't exactly give me the best place to speak up. I was always told this
Mm.
is the way you should speak, this is the way you should show up. So I think the conditioning that I was brought up in, the culture that I was brought up in, the upbringing kind of kept my voice small.
Mm.
So when I wanted to speak up more, that had to be a very intentional thing. I needed to choose an environment that
Mm.
supported me, that was
Mm.
not judgmental. When I was 15, that was in the community center where I was volunteering. Even though I was young and other people in that particular community service group, they were much older than me. They never said like, or they never said like, oh, you're too young, don't do this, don't do that. Let us take the lead. No, they actually encouraged us
Mm.
as young grassroots leader to take the lead, to lead the community events, to come up with ideas during the board meeting. So it was in the environment that I realized, oh wow, people actually value my ideas.
Yeah.
Right? And that really created a shift in me. I realized, okay, my voice does matter. And the
Wow.
environment really helped shape me. And that is what pushed me to go on stage, right? Because I felt a lot more empowered, a lot more
Mm.
excited to use my voice. I know that even if I screw up a little bit, people won't like, swan me, they won't like judge
Yeah.
me. Yeah, and that was the push I needed. And of course, over time, I took speaking and communication a lot more seriously. Not just learning the skill of speaking, but really being obsessed of the soul of speaking as well.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So what do I mean by the skill versus the soul, right? So the skill is like your ability to organize your thoughts, speaking succinctly, it's not the technical aspects. Whereas the soul of speaking is being really deeply connected to your message, having a true care for the audience you're speaking to, deeply
Mm.
connecting with them, seeing speaking as an art. For me, I see speaking and connecting as an art. I'm truly
Yeah.
obsessed with it. I love watching movies where the actors are really good, right? And I'll
Mm.
actually notice how the actors have
Expressions
slight
and
shifts in their facial
yeah.
expression. Yes. And that slight shifts, right, create so much emotional effect on
Mm.
me as the viewer. And I'll
Mm.
replay the scene many times to kind of see what they do. And then I'll
Mm.
try to copy also. Because I feel it helps me, be a better storyteller. Yeah, so that's
Wow.
that's what got me obsessed over time and it's a lifelong art, I feel.
Yeah, look, I think a few huge lessons here. I think number one is definitely environment, right? A lot of people who are starting out, right, they're new, they might be nervous, right? Yeah, get yourself the environments where I think what you mentioned that encourages you, that supports you, right, to keep moving forward, right? And right, giving you that safe environment, right, to practice and to apply what you have learned. I think number two, I mentioned a little bit. I think it's the part of what I call slight obsession, right? Where you would do what others aren't willing to do, right? Which is even going down to watching movies, repeating the same scene over and over again. I guess when people find that level of passion and drive, they're willing to find those like little details of, right? That's when you know you have something. Regarding the third tip, I'm going to go a bit deeper, right? When it comes to the soul, I think I love the distinction between the skill, right, the technical aspect, right, and the soul, right, of speaking. So for someone who's typically nervous, right? Let's say speaking publicly, right? Speaking up to your boss, right? How would you maybe give one or two tips for folks to maybe still practice the art of connection, right? The art of speaking, the
Mm.
soul of speaking, right? When I guess half the energy might just be thinking about, oh, how do I look like? Right? Am I going to say the right thing? Right? How do you balance that for someone who might be starting out or wants to bring up their confidence to speak and to communicate more
Mm.
effectively?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, I think that owning your voice is a lifelong journey, right? And the reality of the matter is that sometimes we are put in situations where we have to use our voice even when we haven't fully owned our voice, but
Mm,
we can't like pause our life and go like, you know what, I'm not going to speak for the next 20 years and own my voice, and then when I feel
mm,
I'm ready, I'm out there, right? So you're right to say that there's a balance that's
yeah.
necessary to use the skill as you are working on the soul portion.
Mm,
Foundationally, I think everybody needs to have a consistent practice where they are building space to build a relationship with their
mm,
voice. So I think having a habit and building a relationship with your
come.
voice is very
Mm,
important,
mm,
right? So that's like the foundation. And what I mean by building a relationship with your voice, it is really creating space to listen to your voice, right?
mm,
Really creating space to communicate and understand your fears. So if someone is feeling um having that fear of judgment, or you have a lot of
mm.
mind drama when you're wanting to speak up when they
Mind
need
drama.
the authority. Yeah, mind drama. These are things that shouldn't be ignored. First and foremost, right? They shouldn't be ignored. I think since young, we've been taught to problem solve. So, okay, you can have all these fears and all that, but ignore them and just focus on what to do to get ahead, right?
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
fail, and okay, do more 10-year series, do more test papers. There's no time for how do you feel that you didn't do well. No, man, it's just move on, move on.
Mm,
So that's why we are so we tend to just like bottle up our feelings,
yeah.
and actually all that bottling up is going to explode over time. So it's very,
Mm,
very important to create space to understand, to feel
mm,
our feelings, to build that relationship with your voice. So that's what something that everybody has to do, I
mm,
believe lah. So that is
mm,
the practice that we all need to do. And in terms of how do we still speak up confidently as we're
mm,
building that relationship with our voice, I would say that adopting some simple frameworks is very helpful.
mm,
So one of the frameworks that I teach my clients is a simple point, reason, example, point, PREP framework in terms of processing their thoughts and like um designing it in a way that
mm,
is succinct and lands on the
yeah,
audience. So let's
mm,
say you have lots of thoughts and you want to share it in a way that's succinct, right? Just think,
mm,
okay, what's the point here? What is the
mm,
reason I'm sharing this point? What's an example that I can share that will support this point? And then what is the
mm,
call to action? So using a simple framework is helpful
yeah,
at the start, right? And then once you have built a deeper relationship with your voice, you have more confidence in your unique voice, then you can kind of like, ditch the structure and like be more creative,
fluid
right?
and whatnot. Yeah. Mm,
Yeah, just like everything, you want to learn the rules only to break them, right? That's actually a
mm,
yeah, but you start with the rules first. Then as you build your own strategy, as you build your own relationship with your voice, then you can make your own independent decisions for your unique voice. Then you no
mm.
longer need that much of a structure. You end up creating your own structure. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, I,
So
I love that. Yeah, I love that philosophy, right? Because I think one thing we also share quite a lot at Master Mentors is the concept of model first, right? Innovate later, right? In your case, it's okay, right? What frameworks can I model after to use, right? To get me started, right? My speaking communication journey. And then, right, I start using my creative, my art. But don't try to free flow, right? From the very beginning, because it might not be as effective as you would like. Nice, right? So moving on to next question, right? So not right now, right? On our side, I know you have been doing some amazing stuff, right? You have hosted talk shows with some amazing celebrities, huge names in the space, right? You are doing well in your business, right? Traveling around the world, enjoying what you do. But I'm just curious to find out, in the sense of what might have been some of the biggest challenges, right, in the journey, right? I think sometimes, from what I observe, right, a lot of folks are a bit nervous, right, finding out about what the journey is, right, of these amazing entrepreneurs, right? Because marketing wise, I get you have to put yourself out there. So maybe share a bit about maybe what some of your biggest challenges as you were trying to grow your brand even further, and how you overcame them. Maybe one or two challenges, right, just to let people know, hey, right, we face challenges as well, right? Even people that are doing well, right? We always face challenges. So maybe just share a little bit to help maybe some of the audience out there.
Yeah, I will share three, but I'll
Yeah,
share it lightly and then we can dive deeper into any
yeah,
one of them if you feel is more relevant.
yeah.
So the three top challenges, the first one is the most obvious one I think everybody has gone through, which is parents' disapproval,
Mm.
especially when I wasn't confident about my direction yet, right?
Wow, yeah.
So it's not just the parents' disapproval of me doing a lot of freelance work as I was in university itself, but it's the fact that I wasn't confident about my direction. So I feel like I couldn't have a conversation with them to show them, no worry, I got it figured out because I didn't get it figured out. I
Yeah.
think this could be relatable to many of the folks out there, maybe your clients as well, people who are
Mm.
listening. When you are transiting into a new career, when you're taking on a new challenge, when you are trying to start a side hustle or grow your business, you are not going to be 100% certain how it's going to work out because you're taking a new direction.
Mm.
And sometimes when you're taking this new direction and you're not 100% certain yet, you might be susceptible to your fears of disappointing your loved ones. Or if you're younger, then maybe your parents saying, oh no, it's not practical. You shouldn't do this new thing, right? Stick with your current thing, right? And there'll be all these advice, these comments that might cause you to doubt yourself even further, especially
Mm.
when you are not confident about your
Yeah.
direction yet.
Mm.
Okay. So that was me back then. But I think what I really needed to do was to actually have the tough conversation with my parents and to tell them that I'm still in the process of figuring out,
Mm.
like literally admit to them that I'm in the process of figuring it out, but request for the space
Space. Yeah.
to have that time to figure it out.
Mm.
Right. So what I needed to do was to sit them down to say, Dad, Mom, I know that you have been very kind of worried so far of me going
Mm.
out late so often, having, wondering what I'm up to, right? They don't even know what I'm up
Yeah.
to. I don't tell them, right? But I'm out there like having conversations and coffees with mentors, doing training, delivering trainings in schools, doing MC events, doing all of these things apart from school. And it gets them very worried because they're worried I would flunk my university. So I sat them down and I asked them to share with me what their concerns are, and they listed down all the
Mm.
concerns.
Oh,
And I essentially took their top few concerns and, reassured them lah. Like I gave
yeah.
them solutions like, okay, you're worried that I'm coming home late. I will, text you at this time and let you know who is the person that I'm cabing home with. I will ensure that I will get at least this grade in my university. I kind
Yeah.
of reassured them. So that was the
Mm.
the 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 first biggest challenge, I would say,
Yeah.
parents' approval, especially when I'm not confident about my direction yet.
Yeah, I think for the first
Yeah.
challenge, I love that you
Mm.
decided to like open up to have that open, honest conversation, right? Because a lot of people try to avoid it, right? Try to hide it out, right? And then, right, it manifests that anxiety or the self-doubt even further, right? But I think what you do is you went all out, right, to have an authentic conversation and to address, right, their concerns head on, right? Which leads up to, I think, a much more freeing, right, journey for you, right? Knowing that, okay, I've already reassured my parents, so I'm ready to move forward, right? Without having some
Mm.
huge concern. Nice, love it, Ray, right? What do you think the next challenge then for most
Yeah.
people might face? Yeah.
The second one, I think this one is later on in my journey, also maybe very relatable to people out there. It is listening to mentors and joining certain business partnerships that ended up overshadowing my voice, causing a
Mm.
lot of internal pain and suffering.
Mm.
So when I started my coaching business, I was all fresh. I didn't know much about business, right? And all I wanted was to, make a certain amount of money. I wanted to make, I think, I told myself, I want to make at least $5,000 a month because that is a little bit more than a fresh grad pay so that I
Yeah.
can just prove to myself that I can make it. That's all I wanted, just like 4K, actually 3K also can, I'm just like, I want to prove to myself I can make it. So that was what I wanted to do. And then as I am in the industry a little bit more and I'm surrounded by all these mentors, these people on the internet that's giving so much advice and strategies. You should grow your business this way. You should scale your business that way. You should work with more high net worth clients so that you can work with lesser people, right? There are all these different ways of growing a business. And what I realized I was doing is I was being pulled in all different directions, right? Just pulled in different directions. If someone is doing this new strategy, I would rush and react to try this new strategy because I didn't want to lose out. Oh, email list. Oh, this. Oh, Instagram. Okay, this, that. Let me do everything. And then I started being so stressed because I was doing 1,001 things and being put in all directions. Right. And I would have coffee with mentors or hear advice from other people saying, hey, Ray, you should do this, you should do that. Are you sure you want to do this? And then it makes me doubt myself even more. I'm like, yeah, actually, my offer is quite, maybe I should work with people who are like directors or something. They can pay me more. I can work with less people. It does make sense, right? This person is making more money than me now. They're more experienced. I should listen to them. And then most of the time when I listen to them, I end up being very miserable and I actually lose more money.
Where's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
less money?
Yeah, so there was this one time I joined a business partnership, right? And then I was essentially serving an audience that I wasn't feeling the most aligned with. And then this person was giving me a lot of advice to build my business a certain way. And it's because I wasn't sure of my own business vision and direction yet. I just followed what this person said. And then I ended up being very miserable. And I was just like crying for no reason. I was just so miserable. I was like feeling very empty and hopeless, and I didn't feel excited about my business anymore. And then when I left, or rather, when I left that business partnership finally, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to listen to my voice. I'm just going to do what I really want and follow my joy. When I decided to tune into my inner voice and my intuition and make decisions based on what's authentic to me, not only did I become a lot more happier, I also made like the most amount of money that particular month.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think this just shows, right, when you are listening to your own voice, that's where everything else will align by itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, and thanks for sharing that, right? I think I didn't know too much about what happened, right? But obviously, I know it was a tough time, but hearing your story actually made me feel a little bit happy, right? In a sense, not like, wow, we went through all this crap, but the fact that you went through the experience and grew so much stronger, so much more powerful, so much more convicted of it, right? In a way, it could be a blessing in disguise, right? So I'm happy to hear what has happened, right? And I think the big lesson, just to translate it to some folks out there, which is, okay, if you're starting out, maybe yes, you can learn from different mentors, try different things, but over time, I think the most one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself to gain clarity and confidence of what really matters to you, right? Because chances are, as you are growing, as you're getting better, right, you might be put in different directions, right? And in a sense, is right, not so much of the business mentors' fault because they might have their own views and visions as well, right? So I think once you get clarity, right, that's what we have to go through. So thanks so much for sharing for that. I think that's an amazing lesson there for a lot of people out there. All right, yes, I am really interested to find out what's your third one, right? Since I think the second was like, wow, quite eye-opening for me already.
The third one is very obvious. You know this, which is
Yeah.
workaholism.
Yes.
So for so many years, I hustled so hard, I had so many rounds of burnout. And I realized that even though I was pursuing my passion, I was using my old ideas of success in my new business of passion. So, as I was running my business, what started out as a business built out of passion quickly became my own strict metric of success, right? I was working so many more hours than I really need to. I mentioned to you that when I first started my business, I just wanted to earn X amount of money. Once I achieved that, I didn't really bother to celebrate. I just looked at what the next goal is. I looked at what other people is doing, and I said, okay, I want to do this as well. I looked at peers around me, people on social media, and I said, okay, now this is my next goal. And I was constantly working and working and working and working without really taking the time to ask myself, like, why am I working so hard in the first place, right? And when I took the time to reflect and to get curious on why I was working so hard in the first place, I realized that I was working so hard because I didn't want to get left behind. I was working so hard because my idea of what would make me successful is if I am steps ahead of my peers that are my age, right? Which is in itself a very flawed idea of success in the first place. But that was my idea of success. I need to earn more money. I need to be in front of my peers. Then I'm successful. So I was working so hard because I was driven by fear and lack. And here's the thing, right? When fear colors your lens of the world, you don't know what's good or bad anymore. You're just constantly running, even when your body is telling you to stop. You're like, try this, try that, try this, try that, because I was just running like a headless chicken. And I think the biggest lesson that I learned from this is the importance of inner and outer work, right? Both are very important. I think you would know this too because that's what you teach as well. Like inner work is really the process of understanding your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions, your conditioning, is adjusting and creating your mindset in a way that helps you get towards your goals and live a happier life, right? Outer work is the work that people see you doing, is the actual strategies, etc., etc. And both is important, right? And when I took the time to do both and listen to my inner wisdom, that allowed me to create more flow in my life. And not only am I able to enjoy my business a lot more, I'm also able to create more results with more flow.
Nice, love it. I think the word flow, right, is something very important for a lot of us in this space, right? Entrepreneurship, like hustles, right? Even in the workplace, right, where you do something that you enjoy, that's meaningful, that's challenging, right? But you grow and create much results out for it. Yeah, but I think one thing on my mind, right, to go even deeper on that, Ray, which is, so I guess logically, right, people be like, yes, I have to work both on my mindset and my skill set to get there, right? But sometimes it could be unconscious, right, where you might actually driven by fear, by scarcity, by lack, right? So what was that, at least for you, right, what was that trigger for you to realize that, crap, that has been running in me for so long? Where was that event or that one insight that you got, right, that finally got you to say no more hustling just for the sake of it, but actually doing something that's passionate? Was there anything that triggered that milestone or that breakthrough for you to finally move towards a more aligned, right, a more passionate life for yourself?
Yeah. The universe is always giving us little taps on our shoulders,
Oh, yeah.
right? And when there's an issue of misalignment, you won't notice it at the start because it's a little tap, right? People who are more in line with themselves and who have built a deeper relationship with their voice, when the universe taps a little bit, they'll notice already. But for those of us who maybe who are not as in tune, right? And by the way, being in tune is something that you can develop over time. But for those people who don't do as much inner work, then only when the universe like vigorously slaps them, they're like, okay, I know I need to change, right? So at the beginning, I didn't know. Right. At the beginning, I didn't know I was misaligned. I remember the first time a huge misalignment was within me was when I was like, wait, let me think. I think 2019. That was 5 years ago, right? That was when I was still in the business networking group I was talking about. I broke out in full body eczema, right? And it wasn't because I was a workaholic. That one, the misalignment was because I was blindly following my mentor without taking the time to listen to my voice. I was actually doing a lot of things I wasn't truly enjoying. So that was like the universe slapping me. I think that disease is like dis-ease, right? So a lot of our physical sicknesses are manifestation of our internal misalignment. So that is one of the biggest examples, right? And then in my time of entrepreneurship in the past few years, for me, when I know that I'm gonna pay extra attention when I'm waking up in my bed and I don't even want to get out of bed. That's when I know. It's like my eyes would open and I'm like, gosh. Yeah. When that happens, I know already. I know something is off. Right. Then but the thing is, awareness is only the first step, right? The next step is choice. Do you choose to do something about this awareness? Many people, we don't really choose to do anything about it, and we're just aware, but we try to keep it at the back of our minds because it's tiring to change. But
Yeah.
that was when I really realized I have to, sit down and find out why. Why am I waking up and not even looking forward to my day? So I would say that waking up feeling empty, that was like a pretty
That
big
wake up.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think thanks for sharing that. I think the number of people who can relate with that, right? I assume it's going to be quite a big number. But I think the big question is, right, what do you do about it after? Right? Because we can have the awareness, like you mentioned, right? But do you try to do something after? So I guess for you, right? I mean, you could have easily just chosen to stick to the path and whatnot, right? What was that one thing or maybe that one reason, right, that got you to keep moving, right? Being uncomfortable, right? To achieve your goals, even though it might take a lot of time, effort, stress to get there, right? Like, what do you think triggered the desire? Just hopefully to help some folks out there who might have the awareness, right? They have some semblance of a desire, right, to achieve a better life, but they just can't somehow bring themselves to take the effort to do it.
Mm. I know you're gonna be disappointed in my answer because it's very simple.
Yeah.
But my answer is really simple. It is that I chose to believe that it is possible for me to live a happier and more fulfilling life. When I choose to believe that, then I decided that I'm going to find out what's stopping that. I think many at times when we avoid taking action or, you know, or creating change in our life is because we are very comfortable. We're not uncomfortable enough
Mm,
when we're on our current path. It's like it's painful, but not painful enough. Right. So okay, I'll wake up a little bit empty. It's fine. I can push myself and motivate myself to do the strategies that Ray and Mark teach me without needing to work on my inner self. Right. I just do that. Right. So it's not painful enough. But when I was in that state of like it's not painful, it's not that painful, I didn't want to accept that that 70% is it, right? Like I was living life in 70% mode, but I didn't want to accept that that would be my life. I wanted to live 100%. So when I decided that I would not settle for 70% and I want to achieve that 100%, that was when I decided I'm going to find out why I'm not fulfilled and happy. I want to find out what's stopping that.
yeah, I think the finding that desire to just go deeper, right, into those like symptoms, right, like what's happening, to really go deeper, reflect on, right, and that's the first step, right, to moving out of your comfort zone towards the kind of life they're looking for. Nice. So I've been enjoying myself in the view so far, right? So we're gonna move something a bit more technical, if that's okay, Ari.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess because I know you coach and you train a lot of different clients, right? You speak to a lot of people, right, as well. So I'm just curious from your observations between folks, right, who maybe attend the same program, right? That means you have different people attending the same exact program, same exact talk, same exact workshop or even online course, right? What do you think from your observations are the reasons for someone to can achieve amazing, drastic results, right? Where some people might still stay maybe a bit stuck or mediocre, right? What do you think are some of your observations of the differences in maybe characteristics, traits, right? Not just from a mindset level, right? But maybe some of the tactical things that you know, right, that would be very effective for people to own their voice, whether it's in business or in the workplace, as well, at least based on the observation.
Yeah, okay. I think that the biggest thing that allows someone to achieve massive change is when they are willing to see a perspective beyond their current thoughts and
Mm,
beliefs,
mm,
right? So let's say this is a leader that is always about like doing, doing, doing. They haven't really taken the time to do the inner work, right? And doing
mm,
inner work or self-coaching, holding space for my thoughts, to them, they're like, why should I even do this? Right?
mm,
But when they join my program, if let's say they're willing to try, they're willing to go
mm,
like, okay, if it has worked for Ray and the people that she has worked with, and I've decided to sign up for Own Your Voice, I am going to dedicate the next couple of months to try this out. And
mm,
they're willing to try.
mm,
Those are the people that usually surprise themselves with the
mm,
results that they get, right? They're
mm,
willing to do something outside of their current beliefs and thoughts, right?
mm.
The reality is that it's the law of commitment and consistency, right? People tend to
Yep,
want to be consistent with their thoughts, feelings, and actions. So
yep,
whatever they think they are, in terms of their identity, they tend to do things in accordance to their identity. But the reality is, if you want to shift from your current identity to your next level identity, then you have to choose to think different thoughts and different beliefs. So the people who really create massive change are people who are willing to try something outside of what they usually do, and they commit to it, right? They're willing to trust the process. And I've had many people that were not willing, and yeah, so they get mediocre results lah.
Oh yeah, and
They get
I think
mediocre
that
results.
yeah, I think that makes sense because sometimes when people pay money, right? I mean, unconsciously or not, right? What I've observed also, I think similar is that they think that okay, the most difficult part is just paying the money. After that, it should be a breeze, right? But I think sometimes, right, the tough part, right? I mean, yes, the money is a commitment, but the tough part is actually doing the inner work, maybe doing what's uncomfortable, right, or confronting yourself, right, to have some tough conversations, right, to get there. So I think once folks, right, I think from what I'm hearing, once folks are able to get past that to still do it anyway, right, I think that's how they can get towards the growth, the results they want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
love
first
it.
thing. And I wanted to share a practical, I
Yes.
want to share an example that is more technical as well. So I'm not just talking about
Mm,
inner work, but even doing certain
mm,
practices that's uncomfortable to them. So for example, I have this one client, he's financial services director, right? So he is basically financially okay already. Like he's getting his
yes.
clients rolling in, and he's now like, looking to increase his recruitment, etc., etc.
Yes.
He usually gets his leads through word of mouth because he has a strong network, but he wants to start going on social media a lot more. And he's
Mm,
very comfortable with writing, but not necessarily like videoing himself on camera.
mm, mm,
But he is willing to try that. You see, this is what I mean by being willing to try, willing to take time out of his schedule to actually take videos of himself to improve, his facial expressions, the way he speaks,
mm,
because he knows that he wants to change it, right?
mm,
He's willing to take the time to do something so uncomfortable, like videoing himself, looking at his face on camera, this kind of thing, posting his first video on social media, right? Which
mm,
is something he has never done. So these are things that he's willing to do
mm,
because he wants to, see what's possible beyond what he has already achieved. So that's like a example of like a practical
mm.
speaking still. Yeah.
Nice. Actually, it reminded me of something that I feel that even anyone watching this could even test out, right? I think I read this from Tim Ferriss, right? And I think he had an interview with this guy called Noah Kagan, was one of the earliest employees of Facebook, right? I think what he suggested to people to do who are afraid of rejections, right? Who are afraid of sales, right? Is just go to your nearest coffee shop, right? And buy whatever drink you want to. But before paying, right, you just have to ask a simple question of, can I get a 10% discount? Right? And if the barista asks why, you say no, just because I'm asking. And the point is to get rejected, right? I mean, you get it, great, right? Good for you. But we get rejected, sure. So what? No, nothing happened. But I think there was a lot of interesting comments that came out of it, right? People who tried it, right? People who wanted to try on the spot, but they froze, right? So they couldn't. But I think that it's that little action itself, right? I think what you mentioned reminded me about sometimes it's just about doing the action, right? Rather than having to do all the journaling, right? All the self-work, right? Sometimes just about taking that one action, right, to move you forward as well. So I think thanks for that a very powerful tip in terms of doing what's uncomfortable, even though you're not so great at it. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
guess move
100%.
yeah.
Wait,
Moving on
wait,
to some yes,
before
come,
that,
yes.
there was one more
Yeah.
thing I wanted to share about
Mm,
mediocre versus massive results. People who get massive results are usually the clients that are committed to getting what they paid for. Okay, so
mm,
these are people who are committed to designing their own experience within the coaching circle. So, my program is a Own Your Voice Circle. It's actually a group and one-on-one hybrid program. So there are some one-on-one elements where they do get one-on-one coaching, but there's also a group element, right? So the people who get the most results are the people who come in and they design their own experience. They put the coaching sessions into their calendar. They regularly go and check back. Am I doing the things that are, helpful to my goals? Am I they're asking me questions. They check in with me. They if they are a little bit lost on their journey, they will drop me a message or ask in the group chat, hey Ray, I feel like I need a little bit of refocus on what I'm working on.
mm,
Right? These are people that are very communicative. They are
yeah.
consistently designing their own experience in the circle. I think that this is important to share, right, for people that are
Yeah.
listening, because whenever you buy a program, you are also responsible for what you get out of the program.
Mm, mm,
So imagine like you join, like you go for a dinner party, right? The host can be an amazing host, right? They have presented the food, they have the theme and everything. And then at the end of the party, you're like, but I didn't enjoy myself. I didn't make any friends today, right? But it's your job to go and talk to the person beside you, to have fun yourself. And if you don't feel like you're having fun, then okay, you leave the party. It's your job to have a good experience and not just expect the host to do everything for you. The host can create the environment, but you as the dinner party guest, you as the client, you need to create your own experience as well.
Yeah, wow, I think that's a huge tip, right? So even from my experience, right, the clients that get the most amount of results, right, in the fastest period of time, those that I think I mentioned, right, openly communicative, right? They design their own experience, right, and they don't take it for granted, right, in terms of being a passive participant, right, just waiting for things to happen to them, right? Great point that you shared over there. Yes, I think moving on, right, to another point about marketing, right? About putting yourself out there, right? So I think today, right now, 2024, right? As of this time interview, AI is getting crazy, right? They just
Mm.
announced, right? They'll be doing this thing called Sora where you can create videos and whatnot. So what AI is crazy, right? So I guess in your opinion, right, observations, right? What are some things that folks want to get into the online space to stand out, right? To put themselves out there, right? To create a bit of a personal brand for themselves. What do you think are some things that people will do right now in terms of the online content space to, I think not just stand out, right? But at least stand out authentically, right? Aligned to the kind of brand that you want to do. So any direction tips, right? Because I know this is something that you're great at yourself as well.
Oh, I love this question, right? In the world of AI, what is one thing that can never be replaced?
Mm,
It is our humanity,
mm,
right? It is the fact that we all have a shared human experience. This is something that can't be replicated by AI because being human is unique to being human. We're living in an era where we are drowned in noise, we're bombarded by
mm,
different people's opinions. There's so much information overload,
mm,
right? And it is in this chaos where your audience is looking for you as the thought leader to lead the way, to connect to
mm,
them, to guide them, to make the aligned decisions and inspire them to take action.
mm,
I want you to imagine like we're in a sea of people, okay, maybe not
mm,
people. Let's just imagine we are in a very crowded forest, right? In a very crowded forest. All the foliage and the trees, those are like the information. It's like just so
mm,
much, right? And your clients, the ones that are meant to work with you, they are the people that need direction. They're like, okay, it's very crowded. I don't know where to go. I need a guiding light. And
mm,
you are the guiding light. You are the guiding light that's holding a torch that's leading the way through this crowded forest for them to go through it and go to the promised land, right?
no.
So
Mm,
you are the one that's leading the way and they're looking to you, right?
mm,
So I think that as content creators and as entrepreneurs, it is our job to do the things that are uncomfortable so that
mm,
we can lead the way, right?
mm,
To make the mistakes, to share our failures, to be the one that quote unquote take the fall first so that other people
mm,
can follow behind us.
mm,
So I think the question is, are we willing, right? Are we willing to make the mistakes that people are afraid to make? Are we willing to
mm,
share the stories that people are afraid to be vulnerable in sharing?
yeah,
Are we
mm,
afraid to say the things that we truly believe in, even if there's a risk of people disagreeing with us? If let's say
mm,
you're able to build such a strong conviction with what you want to say, I think that really makes you stand out as a thought leader, right? Because
mm,
at the end of the day, one thing that can never be replaced is our common humanity, our connection with each
mm,
other. The very fact that I would rather speak to a coach that has a human beating heart that can understand me and hold space to
mm,
me, as opposed to an AI or a robot that would just give me the solution.
mm.
I think that humanity, that connection, that vulnerability and that authenticity is something that's irreplaceable.
Yeah, I love it, right? In terms of relating to your audience, right? Whoever you reach out to, maybe in terms of experiences, your thoughts, your path, right? I think obviously what you have done, right, in your content, which I really enjoy checking out, is you're sharing things that you actually done before, right? You're actually sharing things that is through your own journey. I think that's why a lot of people connect with you, right? And you've grown and progressed the way you are. So I think thanks for that. I think that's a huge reminder to a lot of people that even in this age of right, massive information overload, right? My favorite word, right, of sorts. That, hey, there's still possible to stand out, right? But you've got to take the step of being that role model, right? Of taking that first step to leading, to guiding others, right, to where they want to be. Yeah, so I think I love this interview. I hope there's going to be a part two down the road, right? But yeah, I think with that, maybe
Anytime.
yeah. So maybe is there any last final words for our audience out there, right, who want to own their voice, right, to become a better communicator, speaker, put themselves out there, right, own up to their strengths, their power, right? Any last words for them, right? And maybe where can they find you if they want to find out, connect with you further as well?
Last words. Man. I think my last words would be that owning your voice is a lifelong journey and it is something that's worth doing. Because when you truly own your voice, you'll realize that everything else feel a lot more effortless and in flow.
Mm.
You realize that you live a happier and more fulfilling life. You realize that you have more loving relationships in your personal life and in your business and career. So take that time and effort to own your voice, to build that deeper relationship with your voice, because that's the one thing that would last, that will be with you to the end of time, your voice, right?
Wow. Mm.
Yourself. Yeah, so that's what I would say to end things off. Um,
Nice.
to find me, go on Instagram. I'm sure Mark will link my
Really. Yeah.
Instagram over there. I have many
Yeah.
free ways and paid ways to own your voice on my Instagram bio. So you can
Mm.
start owning your voice through those means, both free and paid. You can see in my link in bio.
Wonderful, right? So we'll put a link down there for you guys to connect with, right? Do at the very least, right, guys, just follow Ray on Instagram, right? I think you've got
Yeah.
a good idea what she stands for, right? What she's been talking about this entire interview, right? Get to see someone in real life action, right? And she's doing a lot of amazing stuff. You can check her out as well, right? So if not, guys, I'll see you guys on next round of the market interviews, and thank you so much for today's interview as well, right?
Thank you
Thanks
for
everyone.
having
See you guys.
me.
Yay!